Alright, boys, welcome to a new video, I guess. So today we're going to be looking at Ali Wu's video on why is anime Japan's future. I've seen it once before, but I thought it was really damn good, so I really want to look at it and review it. He's got all the stuff in order. He's put some of these. And honestly, there's just a bunch of awesome comments saying this is great. So I think it's a pretty good video. Let's get into it. I'll explain more as we go. Alright? Let's go. Yes, this could be called copyright. And there may be a thing about copyright, but one, he's not monetizing anything because he's got 33 subscribers. So honestly, I think it's also got enough fair use in there. So, video essay by Alistair Wu. Let's go, boys.
From the front pages of Netflix to the speakers of your local ramen store, traces of Japanese anime can be found, regardless of where you live. One might pass this off as simply another part of this island nation's culture, but through lifelike characters and animated writers, Japan has been shaped by this art medium and
Okay. Few things, sorry, I'm sorry for cutting you off at the start. One, not sure where the ramen shop people that usually are at a ramen shop in Japan usually speak Japanese, but also, I want to eat your pancreas? What type of title is that? I've heard of this show, but I still get confused to this day about why the hell it's called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Probably should watch it.
Cultural, social, and economical ways. That is why I believe anime is Japan's future.
Sorry for cutting off. I'm gonna go back a few seconds. I just want you guys to listen to this last little bit. And by the way, this is not a diss at him. I think this is a really cool video. Very good for someone that's just starting out. But I'm gonna pick it apart
regardless
I like
of where
doing
you
it.
live. One might pass this off as simply another part of this island nation's culture, but through lifelike characters and animated writers, Japan has been shaped by this art medium in cultural, social, and economical ways. That is why I believe anime is Japan's future.
Now, think about that, right? That sounds exactly how you wrote your 10 or 11th grade opening with Peel paragraph. It is true. But honestly, I'm not expecting him to word it like a magician. It may sound like he's written this for a school assignment, and it's very much buzzwords, but actually he does a good job of backing up most of these claims. So let's hear him out. It's gonna be a long video, by the way. Nice cut.
Before getting into the details of why anime plays such a big role in this island nation, one must first understand how anime got to where it is today, as well as what it exactly is. Derived from the Latin word animare, meaning
true?
to give breath to, anime is a
I can kind of see someone saying, I'm giving life or giving breath to this art form, which makes sense. I'm not sure where he got this information from. It probably is true. But I just want him to read out this
style of Japanese film and television animation, typically aimed at adults as well as children.
Now, I don't think... Oh, let me go back, like, a little bit. How do I go back? Yeah, here we go. I don't agree with this dictionary term. A style of Japanese film and television animated typically aimed at adults as well as children. Now, while it is typically all Japanese, and it's made by Japanese people, the amount of 15-year-olds that can draw Bakugo in amazing perfection, they're not Japanese. But I do agree that most of it's aimed at adults and children. Well, that's like everyone. They're not aimed at babies. It's not like Bluey. That's an Australian reference. But at the same time, It's a style of drawing. It doesn't have to be TV or film. But it's a style of drawing that's typically in Japan. And it's like most drawing. You can look at something and go, oh, that's Mozart's piece. But other people will go, really? I think I could copy that with enough time. It's like, you probably could. And anime's kind of got a feel. It's close to things like manhwa, but it's different. You can tell by looking at it. But people have just copied and copied and copied until it's its own art form, which means that it's hard to define in words. But I don't think this definition gives the full range of what it actually is.
Animation, typically aimed at adults as well as children.
It's a cool GIF they
By
have.
this definition, any movie
Cool
or show
GIF.
done with 2D artwork originating from Japan counts as a member of the genre.
Which I don't
Now,
think
unless your
does.
favorite show is Yojo
because-
Senki or any of these Studio Ghibli movies, the Second World War is likely not the first image that comes into mind when you hear the phrase anime.
No, it
Despite
doesn't.
this, that's where everything originates. In
Everything
1945,
originates at the
the
Second
Divine
World
Sea
War.
Warriors made history as the first full-length anime film, commissioned by the Japanese Navy as propaganda for recruitment of the younger generation. Fortunately for the world,
Isn't that weird? Something we enjoy to this day started off as a way to get people to kill the Westerners. That is odd.
but perhaps unfortunately
That's a
for the
lot
director,
of how
World
everything
War II
started.
ended several months after the film's
Olympics.
release. From that point onwards, anime would be used with a single purpose: to entertain.
Yeah, no. Anime is used as an entertaining medium, but it can be used to inform. I get how he's using one word to sum everything up, and there's probably not one word that can be used to say inform, entertain, educate. Anime gives a lot more than just entertain. But yeah, its main focus is entertaining, so for the main reason, not the only reason.
Fast forward to the 1960s, where the arguably most influential animator came into the scene, Osamu Tezuka. As the founder of both Toei Animation and Mushi Productions, Tezuka managed to bring Japan much closer to the animation giants of the time, namely Walt Disney Studios. Under his supervision, the standard formula for what types of stories were animated slowly came into existence.
Now, we're talking about the creator of Astro Boy, right? I've seen Astro Boy. Not the anime. Probably the Walt Disney, collaboration where they made a film. It was pretty decent. I don't know what the anime is like, and it's probably pretty good. But, to me, the foundation of anime may have started with Astro Boy, but I don't think it created all the tropes or the fundamentals. It could have, definitely. Haven't seen enough, but from the movie itself, which could be pretty bad comparatively, I don't see how it works. But let's continue.
Although Astro Boy came first in 1963, introducing the genre of flying robot mecha anime, it was
Flying Boy Shota anime.
Kimba the White Lion, the very first fully colored TV show that really kickstarted Japan's
Ooh, that's like
anime.
Simba but with copyright.
Followed by the first shoujo anime, or anime directed at a young female audience, Sally the Witch, as well as a shonen anime, or anime
Not One
directed
Piece.
at a young male audience, Cyborg 009.
How... I've got a question, right? Shonen stayed here, and I swear shoujo's still a genre. I don't see shonen anymore as a young male audience, and I think that's something he fails to mention. Shonen is no longer directed at a young male audience. It still uses fights and stuff, which is usually typically male orientated, but it's not. They're not in their board meeting going, right, how can we make these young men look at our stuff as much as possible? It's more, how do we get people that usually read our stuff to like the fights even more? Which is typically young men, but there's quite a few women that like it. Actually, no. There are no female anime watchers. What do you mean?
Mushi Productions ended the decade strongly before disbanding in 1973. From that point onwards comes a wave of important shows and studios due to the rise of home television and the fall of cinema in 1970.
Fall of cinema? What you talking about? Do you know how crappy cinema was back then? I'm sorry for my explosives that probably blew out the mic, but do you know how terrible, like, the image quality was and the sound quality? It's no longer the golden age of cinema, but it's not the fall. Cinema's still around. I prefer going to watch a movie, because if I'm at my house, then I'm going to be on my phone all the way through the movie. And I can't be bothered to pay 10 cents for popcorn. I'd rather pay $50. Anyway, continue.
Joe marked the beginning of sports anime, inspiring future works like Slam Dunk and Megalobox.
You didn't mention
Heidi,
Haiku.
Girl of the Alps, wasn't anything particularly special in terms of its visuals or
Why is she in
story,
the Alps?
but got two very important
That looks
names
very
out to the
dangerous.
world. Isao Takahata
Where is she
and
swinging
Hayao
from?
Miyazaki.
Yes, this is true.
Space Battleship
Hayao
Yamato
Miyazaki
was
is
a
very
key
good.
player in bringing a serious tone to anime, letting the world know that a solid storyline was crucial to a successful show. And finally, the most well-known yet worst
Astro Boy
received
didn't
show
have
of
that?
the time, Mobile Suit Gundam.
Gundam!
The show itself wasn't going as well as the producers wanted it to the point where the final 20 episodes were cut from production.
Which is kind of
Nevertheless,
crappy, but...
it gained a huge following not due to the anime, but rather the merchandise
Got a
and figurines
sniper
that
rifle
were
in
made.
space. That's not how that
With the
works.
general formula already established, it was time for anime to take its turn into its golden age of the 80s. This era
Macross.
involved a lot of creative experimentation, from
lot of
mixing
flashy
genres like
lights.
romance and action and Macross, to creating brand new
Why is
types
it called Macross? And isn't that every single anime that they just put in like a harem, or they put in a romantic partner that they're like skirt around? Because it's not focused on making that romantic partner like fall in love with you, but it's still technically romance.
of stories that had relevance to our daily lives, like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind did with its jarring stance on the significance of pollution.
Well, that didn't help.
Yet, even golden ages have their ups and downs, and
What's
there's a
wrong with
limit to
this?
just how far you can
He's
go
painting
with
stuff
art
on the
house anime
wall.
until it becomes less and less of what the general public wants. This was shown in the movie Akira.
Now, I'm gonna let him talk about Akira, then I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on this.
Adapted from a mildly popular manga into a 2-hour movie, this sci-fi flick was the most expensive movie ever produced in Japan, largely due to the cost of the intricate special effects. However, its box office earnings turned out abysmally low, devastating the anime industry's pride and making a dent in morale as a whole. That is, of course, until the Western audience showed up. At this point,
Alright, so I originally thought, oh, he's gonna say that Akira was a hit in the West. No, okay, so Akira is one of those movies where I definitely understand why in the 1980s, 1990s when this guy came out, early 2000s, can't remember, it definitely wouldn't have sat well with some Japanese people, because they are very like, how do I explain this? They have very traditional values a lot of the time, and it's only probably the last 20 to 30 years that once like the tech revolution has taken over, that Japan's opened up. So the youngsters were like, oh, this is cool, but all the parents that went to see these things were like, this is not okay. Young Timmy, you cannot watch this anymore. Like, what the hell? This is gory as all crap. This is like your grandfather with a seppuku. I don't want you seeing this. That was a terrible joke, Jacob. But really, right? I think Akira was an absolute banging movie. The fact that it flopped makes me sad, because it was good. But honestly, I can see why it flopped. I really wish it didn't flop. I really wish we saw more of it. It was really good. I think they could have made it into an anime series that would have been interesting enough. I'm concerned that they spent that much money on it for something that was mildly popular, or at least like make One Piece a movie. Oh wait, they did that 7 times. All good. Anyway, let's continue.
Point, anime had reached an international following, but the market was still highly saturated by the Japanese. This all changed
Still
in
is.
1990, where a certain show would capture the attention of not just the Eastern audience, but a large Western audience as well. Dragon Ball Z.
I've never watched Dragon Ball Z, probably never will, so I'm probably going to keep it's probably going to be the same arguments that you hear everyone that hasn't watched Dragon Ball Z say.
Its simple yet lovable cast of characters, animation that was of higher quality than shows before its time, and a plot that could spin out hundreds of episodes. Its
Yeah, because it's
popularity skyrocketed
recurring.
at an exponential rate. Morale was slowly improving, inspiring filmmaker Mamoru Oshii to take a dive back into the world of experimental anime and create his masterpiece,
Love the look of
Ghost
these,
in the Shell.
of the old anime.
The post-apocalyptic cyberpunk setting completely changed how the anime industry was seen, turning their luck for the better. Not only was the movie critically acclaimed, but rose to such a high echelon of respect
creepy.
that it influenced big Western films such as The Matrix. Now that the economic loss of the 80s had been paid back in full, more trust and freedom was
Economic
given
loss?
to show creators.
They got an Akira
Creators
out of
like
it.
Hideaki Anno, writer of Neon Genesis
sorry.
Evangelion,
This is a great point, but
and freedom was given to show creators.
why
Creators like
that dress? Does anyone see the problem with that dress? Who duct taped and put wooden slabs on the side of the dress to hold it up like that? It's like they put glue at a 90-degree angle. Like, that's not fashion. That's for perverts. And for chicks that don't understand fashion.
Hideaki Anno, writer of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I'm starting to watch this. I think it's pretty good so far. Need to continue. So, don't have much thoughts yet.
A show that would go down as not only controversial, but artistic and expressive of the time's culture, pushing anime in a more cinematic direction. After that came another blur similar to the one in the 70s, but this time filled with many more shows of a much wider variety.
This is like one
only
show.
a small portion of which are shown on the screen now.
Oh,
From the 2000s onwards, anime had begun to evolve into something that didn't just have a cult following,
It's like
but was widely accepted
2015.
as an entertainment
No,
medium in all four corners of the
2019.
world. The Japanese culture has truly gone a long way since the Second World War, and the sheer volume of anime
Still making
production
war
reflects
anime.
this. Even the moment you step into the country, you're greeted with anime.
yeah, that's because, they lack money.
The road from military propaganda to cute girls dancing isn't exactly a path
Still
that every
in a
culture
military
around the world can
area.
follow, but the Japanese managed to pull it off.
Okay, this anime right here. Did he give it a name? No, he hasn't named it. Why would you ever put tiny children in a war zone? Like, it's probably the appeal of the anime. There's all a bunch of tiny girls. Bit creepy, but also, these guys are obviously fools. They are gonna die. Or they're gonna have some hidden power that's gonna do like Ex Machinas over and over again until they survive somehow, and then everyone's gonna cheer, and we're gonna be like, really?
Looking at how the quality of every aspect of anime, from its story to its characters, has improved in just 50 years, gives hope to the next 50. From a purely cultural point of view,
It gives hope to the next 50. It does, 100%. But that's not always the case of how history goes, and I hope it goes well, because I hope I'm still watching anime in 50 years when I'm dead, because I'm already 50. You guys don't know my age. Never will. Anyway, yeah. So let's hope. And March comes in like a lion. Very nice show. I haven't watched half these things. I have too little time, man. I have enough time to commentate over this video, but I don't have enough time to.
anime's impact on Japan's future has been filled with inspiration. With modern shows like the Monogatari series referencing classical Japanese literature, to Lupin III's ability to tell and retell its story in
That's
increasingly modern
epic,
styles,
bro.
the industry has
Just cut the thing in
and will
half.
continue to find the perfect balance between preserving the old and innovating the new.
The autopsy is trying to cut open this bitch. Oh, sorry. God, that's a lot of
Knowing that the
autopsies.
sea of newly released anime is as boundless as the stars in the sky, the actual quality of a show is what makes it or breaks it in terms of the impact it has in Japan, if not the world. There are 5 key areas that come into play when discussing the success of an anime as a whole: the story and plot, the setting and concept, the character and development, the art style, and finally, the music and soundtrack.
Oh,
All of these will be broken down in the following segment: Anime Autopsy.
is that Finland
First
Saga?
comes the story and plot. A short summary or blurb can usually be found upon clicking into the title, whether on a streaming site or an anime list. But for the average anime watcher, simply reading a description isn't enough. In many cases, a story is what ties together all of the characters in a show, serving as a general long-term goal that is set up in the first few episodes and resolved in the last.
Yep.
The concept usually follows one of 4 types of narrative arc.
In One Piece case, gets set up in episode 1, 2, and then doesn't get solved until episode 10,000. And there's an anime with 10,000 episodes, which is like, how long does that take you to binge watch? Like, that would be a few years worth of just binge watching. It took guys a whole year to read One Piece when they're reading like half an arc a week. That's just insane. Anyway,
Overcoming the monster involves an individual or group being terrorized by a greater power and working towards destroying or surpassing
terrorized
them.
isn't the right word.
This greater power can take a literal form, such as Demon Slayer's antagonist Muzan Kibutsuji, with his goal to convert all humans into demons. It can also take a conceptual form, such as moving on from death and loss in Anohana. Rags to riches in anime is usually interpreted
find a
as the
funny
growth
term.
of a character's physical power or social status over the course of many seasons.
Where did he get these from? Like, I agree with everyone that's come so far, and I'll agree with the next one as well. But where is he getting these terms from?
Midoriya Izuku's path from being quirkless or powerless to having one of the strongest quirks or powers of all time.
Now, right. Naruto. Does he come in under 2 of these? Oh. Does he come in under overcoming the monster, but also going from rags to riches? And also, the thing is, Naruto's plot, like, the overcoming a monster, but there's no, like, set-up villain at the very start. It's not like, it's not like Naruto has a big baddie. We know he has a fox inside of him, but apart from that, like, they just set up a villain every arc. Which means that they're really just like, that's just exponential monster overcoming, or whatever he said.
In Boku no Hero Academia is an example of the former. Yumiko Jabami's path from being a new student to a creme de la creme gambler in Kakegurui is an example of the latter. The final 2, comedy and tragedy, are similar to their counterparts in movies or live-action shows. Comedy deals with humorous content to give the audience a laugh, like in
This is
Nichijou
true.
or Psyche K.
Psyche
Tragedy
K is
follows the story of a
shonen
fallen
anime.
hero, anti-hero, or misunderstood villain.
Which I don't agree with. Tragedy can seriously just be a person that's lost their parents and has to go through the struggles of that. They don't have to be a fallen hero, an anti-hero, a villain. Those can be tragic storylines, but usually they're slice of life type tragedies. So usually tragedies in that sense aren't like a fallen
Fate Zero, Death Note, and Code Geass. Both the plot and the setting combine into what is known as the genre of the show, which is the first key area that addresses the question why anime is Japan's future.
Again, right? He's literally just said like 15 paragraphs and it's like, this combines into genre. This is the first reason. And it's like, yep, this is quite obviously how you write a school essay. Not digging on him, man. There's not a lot of other ways, especially in school when you're taught. There's not a lot of other ways to write. And especially if you don't follow the structure. Like, I never follow the structure. But it's always a gamble. Because if I don't have good writing, like, if I have writer's block that day, because I don't follow any structure, it's just like, it's not good. It is not good at all. So yeah, good on him, man. He's doing really well. He's made quite convincing arguments, and he's just put out interesting plot points. I didn't know half these facts beforehand, but now I do.
The widely popular anime list website, MyAnimeList, is an online platform that documents and categorizes series, as well as the ratings that users believe the show deserves. On this site are a list of 43 different genres of anime, shown on the screen now. That totals to over...
Whoa. Okay. Action, adventure, cars, so racing, comedy. Why? That's a lot of comedy. Dementia, demons, drama, fantasy, game, harem. That should be much better. Okay, historical, horror, josei, kids, magic, martial arts, mecha, military, psychological, police, parody, mystery, music, romance, samurai, school, sci-fi, seinen, slice of life, shonen AI, shonen, shoji AI, shoji, space, sports, superpower, supernatural, thriller, vampire, yaoi, yuri. I'm not sure why vampire needs its own category, but because there's quite a few of them.
40,000 shows.
Like demons.
Taking the top 10 anime of each genre and averaging out the scores, when...
Oh, let's go back. Right. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's always up there. It's a good show, but it's not that good. Also, Your Name as drama? That's a romance through and through. Oh, I don't know. I really like Your Name. It is such a good one. Fantasy, once again, it's up there. Attack on Titan's gonna beat things because people like it, and it's got a Western audience. Yeah. Why is One Piece? No, I know why One Piece isn't on these lists. It's because people don't feel like watching 1,000 episodes to get the amazingness of it, man.
10 anime of each genre and averaging out the scores, one can see that the most well-received anime genre is the aforementioned shonen, followed by...
Yep. The other thing about anime, my anime list, no longer very good at getting public opinions. Ever since someone just decided to abuse the system, and maybe they, they might have just, I don't know, made a ecchi series #1. Just saying, Nuxtaku, good shout out. Everyone go look at him. It was pretty damn funny, and that's why my anime list had to change everything, because Nuxtaku made Interspecies Reviewers #1. Very funny.
By Supernatural, and finally Slice of Life. Though the first two shouldn't be anything too surprising after considering the history lesson in part 1, the third genre, Slice of Life, is what really makes a difference.
It really
This term is defined as a realistic representation of everyday experience, and has been interpreted in a wide variety of ways, from K-on's look at high school students playing music in a band,
nice
to the Tatami
guitar.
Galaxy's introspective take on hobbies. A quick reference back to anime's history shows almost no signs of the genre ever being mentioned,
Cool anime.
and yet for some reason it's risen to the popularity podium. One possibility is the increased docility of Japanese society after major events such as the Second World War and the stock market crash. As of the year 2020, a third world war has yet to break out, and much of Japan's focus has been placed on...
Okay, let's not try to jinx ourselves here. I don't think it's gonna happen. Then I've probably just jinxed it more. Okay, we're just gonna glaze over this.
on technological and economical advancement.
Economical gacha games and the sweet, sweet button toilets that clean your butt for you. My god.
However, studies such as the United Nations Happiness Index show that despite the longevity of the country being higher than the vast majority, Japan places 58th in the world for global happiness, indicating that stress and overambition...
The problem with Japan is the culture, right? Japanese people, think about this, if you ever look at Japan, their food, $3 to $4 for like a decent meal, right? At like fast food. You're like, that's so cheap. Think about Australia, right? Our average income is like 60,000 to 70,000. That's our average wage a year. Japan's average wage is 37,000. That's like half of what Australia is. Which means that to them, $3 or $4 is $6 to $8 worth of money. So it isn't that much different. I do believe it's a little bit cheaper, but at the same time, for Japanese people, it's pretty damn expensive. And anime is one of those places that they don't get paid much. They do long hours. They don't get paid much. Because at the same time, if you're doing even 30 frames a second, that's 30 frames in a 20-minute video. That is thousands of frames you have to do for one thing. And people just expect that of you. And when I watch anime, I'm like, I have to appreciate that these guys are working their absolute butts off to create this every week. I can't just sit there and go, oh, why isn't this thing ready already? Because, honestly, they're working their butts off. They probably have calloused hands from the amount of bloody times they have to pick up a pen a week. There's like mountain climbers' hands because of the pen grips. Like, their fingers are just so calloused and hardened that you could shoot a bullet at it and wouldn't break through. Like, my god. Anyway, let's continue.
Significantly affects Japanese citizens. The NCBI and National Library of Medicine claim that watching a visual medium regarding calming topics such as documentaries about the Earth can have a soothing effect on viewers and improve mental health. With the rise of slice-of-life anime popularity and production, and the happiness index of the Japanese being a major area that needs to be in
Can we go back just a little bit, right?
Popularity and production.
What was that? What is that? What are they doing?
Mental health. With the rise of slice-of-life anime popularity and production.
Okay, they're drawing. I thought that was a scalpel, bro. I was like, why are they scalpeling out the... Also, who draws there? Who goes to their foot? And that means another person is getting out your foot. Unless they just chop the foot out off of another person, plumped it on the thing.
Production. And the happiness index
that guy's
of the
really
Japanese
bad
being
at
a major area that needs to be inspected. Anime has the potential to instill the sense of serenity and tranquility
she works
this
at
population
Ronald's.
So desperately needs and deserves. The majority of my surveyed participants ages 14 to 21 believe
ages 14 to 21, 53 responses. That's pretty good. Story and plot, big. Art style, alright. Settings and concept. No one thought music was... Okay. Pacing is what can kill some animes. For example, Sword Art Online. First anime, really enjoyed it, right? Pacing was absolutely crap. Right? It was terrible. And it could have been a 50 episode thing, and I think Sword Art Online should have been a 50 episode thing. For the thing, because you have 100 floors, each with their own ecosystem. At least spend an episode on each, like, couple floors. And, like, the boss battles. Like, my god. They just rush through that crap. Anyway. Music is important, but I don't think it's necessary to make a good anime. It is necessary to make an amazing one. If you want to make the next best anime, it has to be good music, good pacing, good everything. Anyway, I've got something in my throat. My god, it sounds like I'm crying. No.
Years that the third key area was the most important: character and development. Though a strong plot is what usually carries the show, strong characters can either make or break entertainment value and initial audience interest. From my personal experience, too many shows have succumbed to flawed character writing.
Why do you have him at the background, man. That's throwing shade in areas you don't want shade, man. You want to fight, no. I don't think Kirito is a flawed character. I think he's presented in a very flawed way. But what was I gonna say? I don't agree with the general consensus about character, and because without a good story, no matter how good your characters are, you can watch it if you have great characters, and it has a crappy story. But you can't. But at the same time, you can also watch something that has an amazing story and crappy characters. So I feel like they're on an equal, if not stories. Story's more important to me, I think. Story is more important.
Such as how Emi Yashiro failed to live up to his expectations in Fate Stay Night's Unlimited Blade Works, or how 720 episodes was still not enough to fully redeem Sakura Haruka from Naruto.
She saved Naruto once.
On the other hand, well-written characters can also bring out the full intended emotion in times where the plot isn't strong enough, like in Recreators. In an interview done with Hong Kong director Mr. C.Y. Hui, he stated that anime lets people get outside of themselves, experience something out of this world, and understand the lives of somebody else.
You do not want people getting outside of themselves. That's a bit creepy, and there are definitely some perverts.
Stepping into the shoes of another person can truly allow for an individual to see their surroundings in a completely different light. Whether the time spent as them lasts for a minute or an hour, the morals and stories that can be learned from a character can last a lifetime. The final two categories are art style and music, both of which concern the visual and auditory stimulation that is created when watching a show. Or to put it in a different sense, the direct and raw feedback that you receive after pressing the play button.
The direct and raw feedback. That's an interesting way to put it. Music is definitely an important aspect of anime. Without music, we don't get the hype scenes. Like, something may appear hype, but it just isn't hype. So, music is quite important. So, let's see what he has to say.
Though an art major may be able to discuss how the strokes and colors of certain scenes affect the way a character is represented, and a music major may be able to pick apart the specific motifs and the way the audio creates an appropriate mood.
And an English major can tell you why the curtains are blue.
The combination of the two creates a unique aesthetic style that can be perceived and interpreted by everybody. Two contrasting examples of this are Love is War and Scum's Wish, both of which are series that fall under the romance genre, telling the tale of two people in love. Love is War uses cartoony and exaggerated illustrations, accompanied with upbeat and celebratory music, to portray the comedic pre-engagement process. Meanwhile, Scum's Wish uses a lifelike and sketchy art style, accompanied with soft and uncomfortable guitar pieces, to highlight the dark and brooding themes of post-engagement disloyalty. Perfectly piecing together art, music, and story is no easy task, which is why as time progresses, so does the quality and expertise of animation studios, who manage to reach and go beyond expectations. With every generation's animators and musicians improving their craft, the theoretical quality of future individuals who will likely have had more primary experience from watching these shows will increase to unimaginable levels, improving not just the anime industry, but the grander occupational society of Japan as well.
Well, yeah, everything affects it. This is interesting, though. Like, he definitely has some views and other things are buzzwords, but it's definitely interesting to see how he writes about it. And honestly, I think I would write about it in a similar fashion. Some things I would change, but definitely similar fashion. Money, 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 all the
Pursuing your
money.
passion for an art form is already difficult enough, and yet the issue of a stable income and salary adds an even greater weight.
I should have talked about this.
In the case of workers in the anime industry, producing shows are no easy task, even with hundreds of people simultaneously on a single project, especially when considering all 6 of the key aspects mentioned in Part 2. With the distribution of workload being so widespread,
I'm just gonna say here, Japanese people work way too damn hard. Like, you have the thing of businessmen out to 1 o'clock, right? And then they sleep until like 5, and then they do it again, because there's just a workaholic culture in Japan, which is really bad.
One might stop to think of whether or not
This
writers
isn't a
and
Western thing,
animators get
it's
paid
literally
enough
not
for the
good
work
for
that they
them.
do, to which the answer is, not in the past. Of course, smaller companies like Studio Bones with 69 people, who still manage to produce shows of higher quality than many big names in the industry, don't face a similar problem.
I think they do.
However, looking
But
at
I
studios
know
like
what you mean.
A1 Pictures, with their 283 staff,
Ooh.
brings the imbalance into the picture. If today's Japan were anything like how it used to be in the 80s or 90s, the
Oh,
wealth
it'll be
gap and
crap.
underpaid staff would be more than a serious problem. It would be catastrophic. Luckily, the anime industry has found a modern solution.
I do think that it's still a problem. It's like video games for the Western side. It is not good currently, not good at all, which is honestly quite unfortunate. But yeah, it is not good for Japan. It's not good for anyone to be underpaid. But unfortunately, for one person to be rich, another person has to be poor.
Extracting its main revenue not from the sales of the show itself, but rather the merchandise that is created when the show is released.
It's like Walt
A survey
Disney.
by Statista regarding how much an anime fan, or otaku in Japan, spent on merchandise led to more than 10,000 individuals responding over the course of 3 months in 2018.
Ooh.
As one can see from the graph on the screen, 20,000 yen, or
Spent on anime, right? Figurines, he's about to talk about these anyway. Model railroads? The hell? Why are people spending so much on railroads? Online gaming, yeah. Collective card. Let's go from the bottom. Dolls, understandable, don't need them. Manga, more than anime, that's interesting. Probably because anime is filled up with like Crunchyroll. Magazines, costume place, clothing, plastic models, voice actors / actresses, military. Japan, you're a peaceful culture. You don't need toy guns. Adult video / collected card game, online gaming, figures, maid service, and costume plays. What? Okay, it is Japan. I can see exactly why.
$1,500 Hong Kong is spent per person per annum on anime
I don't know what
DVDs
that
and
is for-
Blu-rays, which itself is already a hefty sum.
I don't know what that is
But
in
at the very
Australian
top
dollars.
of the graph, one can see that the money that anime makes is no match for the 47,000 yen that are spent on figurines, and 103,000 yen on pop idol
That's
merchandise.
insane.
In 2017, The Hollywood Reporter announced that
There is way too much money going to idols in Japan. Like, it's like as celebrities, you could just PayPal them money. Like, no, piss off, go away. You already get billions of dollars from your stuff. You don't need more money.
Japan's anime industry
just
has
Asia.
grown to a record profit of 17.7 billion US dollars worldwide.
Your Name is a fantastic movie. I don't think it should have been the reason why the West and a lot of places started getting into anime. Because it's a great movie, but there are better.
Considering both animated shows and movies.
Sounds sick.
In 2009,
I sound sick, I mean.
Fox announced that the even greater sum of 19 billion US dollars was rising.
Oh,
No longer are the animators of the past having to barely live off the minimum wage. The spike in economical impact that anime has done
they're
in
still
Japan
barely
is
living.
greater than that of
No,
any
they're
other
living, but
entertainment
there's still
in the country.
hardships in Japan.
And with the number of fans and profits going up every year, it's no surprise that the Japanese media now has the opportunity to stand up to bigger rivals in the US, UK, and China.
Oh, that was cool. That was nice cut.
As the old saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But I like to think that moving pictures are worth much more than just that. Through
Yeah.
diving into the history of anime's origin and culture, the social impacts created by the medium itself, and finally, the astronomical, economical profit that has been made from production and merchandise, it now becomes clear that the anime industry of Japan is no small fry, and has the potential to become even greater than it ever was. Arigato gozaimasu. Sayonara mina.
That was pretty awesome, boys. Okay, so here's the credits. I'm going to talk over it, so you'll be okay. Basically, right, I think this is really good. It feels a little bit like a school project, but at the same time, this would have been an absolute pain in the ass to edit. Like, good damn job, because this looks professional grade. It sounds pretty good. It looks fantastic. The music in the background's great. Honestly, keep at it, man, because you're doing amazing. Let's not autoplay this. Go watch this video. Give him some views. Honestly, give him some love. Subscribe. Don't subscribe to me because I know you aren't. So, boys, I might see you next time, but link in description. Please go say thanks to this man because he did an amazing job. And I'll see you later.